They're little. They're usually cute. They can't possibly be that dangerous, right? Well, we'll talk about it. We're talking about small creatures on the horror movie syllabus. Hey everybody, welcome to the Horror Movie Syllabus. My name is Professor Victor, and today we're talking about small creatures. Now, if you're new to the Horror Movie Syllabus, I recommend that you start with our introduction video. I'll put a link in the description below. That'll give you a good explanation of what the Horror Movie Syllabus is all about. But in short, the Horror Movie Syllabus is an exploration of all the essential, must-see, noteworthy modern horror films. And today we're talking about the subgenre of small creatures. Now, if you've looked at the Horror Movie Syllabus, which can be found at horrormoviesyllabus.com, again, I'll put the link in the description below, you'll see that we have 7 different areas of horror films, one of which being monsters. Small creatures is one of the monster subgenres, along with vampires, zombies, etc., which we'll get to in other videos. But today we're talking about those little guys, the ones that seem like they wouldn't be able to do any real damage, but generally speaking wind up being able to do quite a bit of damage. Now, people who have seen the syllabus know that it gets broken up into 3 categories for each subgenre: undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate. And for the subgenre of small creatures, we're going to say that these categories represent the level of horror or scariness for these films, starting from least scary to most scary. Although, to be honest, none of these films are genuinely that scary, but we'll talk about that in a second. Our first movie, as the undergraduate selection for the small creature subgenre, is Gremlins. Gremlins is a 1984 horror comedy about a young man who gets an adorable pet named a Mogwai, but that winds up leading to a lot of problems. The movie starts with a middle-aged inventor who's looking for a gift for his son for Christmas. He stumbles across this odd curio shop run by this mysterious Chinese proprietor who is arguably not portrayed in the most racially sensitive manner. It was the 80s. He talks the shop owner into selling him a Mogwai, this adorable exotic creature that he wants to give to his son as a pet. The shop owner reluctantly agrees to sell the Mogwai, but he does give 3 rules that need to be followed. Never feed them after midnight, never get them wet, and never put them in the sun. The man gives the Mogwai to his son, and it is adorable. They named the Mogwai Gizmo, and he is adorable. I mean, just look at him. He's just so cute. He's really basically the Baby Yoda of his time. And in the 80s, he was a smash hit. Everybody loved Gizmo. They loved Gremlins. There was all kinds of merchandise, stuffed toys, games, breakfast cereal. That breakfast cereal was absolutely disgusting. I begged my mother to buy me some, and it literally made me vomit. It was so bad. But that's just how big of a phenomenon Gremlins and Gizmo actually was. But of course, the rules don't get followed, and things go horribly awry, and the town gets terrorized by gremlins. Now, I think this is usually a pretty good entry-level horror film for young children. It was actually marketed towards children. Again, I mentioned all of the breakfast cereals and toys and games and stuffed animals. And I do think it is a good entry-level horror film for small children. That said, the gremlins themselves can be a little bit scary, and there are some pretty gruesome gremlin deaths in there. I don't want to spoil them for you here, but let's just say that they could be a little bit distressing to smaller kids. I don't have children of my own, so don't let me be the one to tell you if it's okay for your kids or not. I think it's okay, but you be the parent, you judge for your own children. One thing I should mention, however, is that there is a monologue given by Phoebe Cates in the movie where she talks about her dad and Santa Claus. So if your kids are still waiting for Santa Claus to deliver presents at Christmas time, maybe check this movie out yourself first before you decide to let them watch it. Just a suggestion. Gremlins did have 1 sequel. It's kind of fun. It's not necessarily quite as charming as the original, but it's still cute. And to date, they haven't rebooted it or done any other sequels, but I think it's only a matter of time before they decide to reboot this property. Our second movie for the graduate level of the small creature subgenre is Leprechaun. The movie Leprechaun came out in 1993, and it's about a man who steals gold from a leprechaun. He locks the leprechaun away for several years using a magic spell. But when the leprechaun is released, he goes on a murderous rampage to retrieve his gold. Now, this movie is not good. It's actually pretty bad. I remember I saw it for the first time in a drive-in. I was on a date in high school, and it was horrible. We actually contemplated leaving early, but frankly, we were on a date in a drive-in. There's no way we were going to leave early. It just instead decided to stop paying so much attention to the movie. But it's not good. But it's so bad that it actually becomes pretty enjoyable. It kind of falls into the so bad it's good category. And I think that's why it's gained such a cult following and has many sequels. As you can see, I have a 4-pack right here, and I actually do have all of the Leprechaun movies on video, even though I don't love them, but I do get a kick out of the hilariousness of them. The movie stars Warwick Davis as the titular leprechaun, and he gives an incredible performance. It's just unhinged. He's hysterical, and he really makes the movie. It also stars a pre-Friends Jennifer Aniston, and that alone is worth the price of admission. To see her in this early role, a role that she's not particularly proud of, is actually an added treat in terms of enjoying this movie. So I can see why it's become a bit of a cult classic, and I fully endorse that. I definitely think you should check Leprechaun out. It's a lot of fun. Don't take it very seriously. Maybe have a few drinks, watch it with some friends. It's a good time. Our third and final movie, the postgraduate choice for the small creature subgenre, is Slither. Slither is a 2006 horror film directed by James Gunn. You might recognize him as the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, but this is before he got famous doing Marvel films. It stars everybody's favorite space cowboy Nathan Fillion, and one of my personal favorites, Elizabeth Banks, along with Michael Rooker from The Walking Dead and many other scary projects. We will actually talk about Michael Rooker a few times on this channel. And it's about a meteorite that crashes into a small town. The meteorite contains these slug-like creatures that can infect human beings and transform them into grotesque creations. Now, I was late in the game coming to Slither. I had seen the trailers for it when it came out. I didn't think it looked all that interesting to me. I didn't really know any of the players involved at the time. So I only saw it a few years ago, and I'm really glad I did. I slept on this movie, and it's great. It's absolutely hysterical, and it is ludicrously disgusting. It's really gross. If you're a fan of gore and body horror, this movie is probably for you. It's really over the top, and the over the top gore is part of what makes it funny. It's not really played so much for scares as it is for laughs, and it is funny. The grotesqueness is so broad and so over the top that it's really not disturbing so much as it is just hilarious. You can tell all of the actors are having fun. The movie's not taking itself too seriously, and as a result, you have fun as long as you don't take it too seriously either. Slither's a blast. I'm sorry that I slept on it for as long as I did. I encourage you not to sleep on it. Go check it out. So those are our 3 choices for the small creatures subgenre. If you like small creatures, I've got a few extra credit films that you might be interested in checking out. The first one you can check out is Critters. It's a Gremlins knockoff, and it's not very original. It's about a bunch of alien creatures that come to Earth and wreak havoc on a small town. And it's got a few sequels to it. It's a fun movie. It's not particularly great, and it's definitely not original, but it's worth seeing. And I think if you enjoy small creatures, you probably enjoy this one. It's got its own following. Another one is Ghoulies, which is another Gremlins knockoff. This one's a little more focused on small, little demonic creatures. And as you can see from the infamous movie poster, it's pretty tongue-in-cheek. That image of the ghoulie coming out of the toilet is an iconic image from the 80s. And this one also had a few sequels that nobody really cares about all that much, but it does have its fans. And the last extra credit movie I'll mention is The Gate, another 80s classic about 2 kids trying to keep demonic creatures coming out of the gate of hell. I loved this movie when I was a kid. I think it's probably meant for kids. I think it has much more of an impact on kids. I haven't revisited it as an adult, but I'm told that when you're an adult, it probably doesn't hold up quite as well. But if you've got younger kids, maybe preteen to early teens, this might be a good one for them to watch as well. So that's going to do it for our exploration of small creatures. If you've got some suggestions of other small creature horror films that you think could make the horror movie syllabus, please put them down in the comments below. We'd love to hear what your ideas are. We all learn from your expertise. Thanks everybody for your attendance. Class dismissed.